What's up, Necromaniacs? Static here, and if this is your first time to my channel, you want to know about everything Necromunda, and you want to be a part of the fastest growing Necromunda community on YouTube, then hey, I want you to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a thing. All right, Necromaniacs, episode 5, Wyrd Powers. I just want to go over the Psyker powers for you. So if you run into them, if you run into a Psyker that's a Hive Scum or a Brute out there, you kind of know how to handle it, or hopefully this maybe is your first time using them or hiring them on and you get to use them yourself, and that way you have a better grasp of what's going on. So a Psyker has to use their willpower to use that Wyrd power, and they have to make a successful willpower check pretty much every single time. Their willpowers can vary from, I think 7+ is about as bad as it gets, and unfortunately there's a lot of the Hive Scum that have a 7 or a 6+, which is not amazing, especially the very costly ones. I don't understand what GW was doing and some of the point costs for some of these characters, but I may tweak those, and I'll let you guys know if I start to make some changes on that, and I'll show you some of the worst ones out there. Some of the powers, you can maintain control, such as Levitate, and I can't think of anything else, but Levitate is a good one that you maintain control, so you have to spend an action every turn. It's a simple action, and do a willpower check +3, so it's easier to maintain it than to actually cast it the first time to maintain those powers. Also, you can concentrate, which is kind of like aiming for Wyrd powers, and it gives you a +1 to that willpower roll. It's, I guess, +1 to a willpower check in a subsequent action. So you would use that 99% of the time for that Wyrd power. You can only have one continuous effect in play at a time. I can't think of anyone that has 2 of them currently. And if you're seriously injured or taken out of action, that continuous effect would go away. You can get Perils of the Warp if you roll double 6s or double 1s, and this makes you have to roll on a chart that is mostly all bad. There's 1 or 2 things that are okay, and we'll talk about those, but most of it is really going to mess you up most of the time, but it's kind of a risk-reward system, much like many other things in GW products. Okay, another thing that can happen is psychic duels. If another Psyker is within 18 inches of the Psyker who is trying to manifest the Wyrd power, then they can attempt to disrupt that Wyrd power, and they as well roll 2d6, and if their roll is higher than the roll of the person casting the Wyrd power, then that power is disrupted and not used. Now, the problem with this is that they also can suffer from Perils of the Warp. Even with the Perils of the Warp on a 6/6, they would, if both characters were to roll double 6s, from what my understanding of the rules are, the disruption would take effect and stop the other person, but it doesn't seem to stop the Perils of the Warp, because you still rolled a 6/6. It doesn't say if the Wyrd power is successful, then you suffer Perils of the Warp. It just says if you roll a 6/6 or a 1/1, then you will suffer it. So you would have your spell disrupted and also have to suffer Perils of the Warp. If there's something other that I'm missing there, please let me know in the comments, but I think that is a correct interpretation of that. Okay, let's get into the actual powers. First, we have the Psychic Shockwave. It is a ranged power. It is 12 inches to 24 inches, and in the 12-inch range there is kind of the short range. It gives you +1 to hit with it, and I guess that would mean that you get +1 to your roll, so that makes it a little better, especially for the people that have this, to make sure that they accomplish that Wyrd power. It's strength 4, not horrible. AP -1, damage 2. I love that. It's kind of a Psyker bolt gun is the way I think about it. It also has pulverized, which if you don't know the pulverized weapon trait, and you roll 1d6, if it's a 6 or if it's equal to or over the target's toughness, then you can take 1 flesh wound roll. If you roll the injury dice, you can take a flesh wound and turn it into a serious injury, which isn't horrible. That's a pretty decent ability with the pulverize. I like it. Now, who has this? Cyrena Scar. Cyrena Scar is a Hive Scum, and she is only 105 credits, well priced, 5-inch move, 3+ initiative, and the downer on her stat line is a 7+ willpower. So she's going to have a 50-50 chance of getting this off. Use the Psychic Shockwave. It's a great power. You just may need to get closer to use it for her. But for 105 credits, she's a good Hive Scum to use. So next, we're going to go over the Assail Wyrd power, which is kind of what I would think of as a Jedi Force push. It's a 12-inch range. You can use it at 12 inches and line of sight. That's kind of important because some of these use line of sight, some of them don't, and the ones that do not are very, very good. You can push a target D3 in any direction. If they're standing, they become prone and pinned after moving. And if they come in contact with another fighter or any terrain, then they have to stop moving and take a D3, a strength 3 damage 1 hit. And if they run into another fighter, that fighter also has to take that damage and also becomes prone and pinned. So this is a great power, 12 inches and line of sight. It's probably one of the better minor powers, if that makes sense. You can use it. Also, it doesn't have anything saying that if you push someone off a ledge, that they get to make that initiative check to see if they can stay on the ledge, like one of the other powers does. So to me, you push them off the ledge, they're fallen. They don't even get a chance to save themselves per the Assail rules. If there's a difference in that, if you guys think anything different, please let me know. This is a discussion. I want to know from you guys what you think, if that's how you interpret that, but that's currently how we interpret it, is it doesn't specifically say that they get to make a initiative check to see if they don't fall off, because there is another power in here called Force Blast, and that allows the characters who are being shoved D3 plus 1 inches to potentially stop themselves from falling off a terrain piece. Okay, let's talk about the people that have this. A lot of the Hive Scum and bounty hunters have the Assail power. You'll see it very commonly. It's a telekinesis power. And one of my favorites is Alyce Shivver. Maybe some of you guys have seen my pictures of the Alyce Shivver miniature that I have created. I'm still working on trying to find a left arm that has an open hand. I have not found it yet. So currently she has the stub gun with dum-dum rounds in it that she carries around. So because she's armed with that, I put it in her hand. It seems to work for me currently. But if I find a better hand, I'm going to cut that gun hand off and put that on. So her stats are not amazing. Again, she has a 7+ for her willpower. So she has a 50-50 chance if she's just using the power without a concentrate ability. So that's not amazing. She does have True Grit as a skill, which it allows you to take away like say someone is able to roll 2 injury dice. You can say allows you to take away one of those injury dice if they're rolling multiple, or if they're only rolling 1, they now have to roll 2 and take, I guess you get to choose which one. You take the least damaging one, so probably the flesh wound if they can roll that. So it allows you, it gives her some staying power, I guess is the best way to put that. And then she also has Levitation and Maddening Visions. Levitation is a movement ability. It gives you +3 to their move, which isn't horrible. And it also allows you, in my interpretation, to go any direction. So if you want to levitate upwards, so her movement is 5, so she has an 8-inch move with the levitation added on. Now she also has to maintain that, as we talked about, but she can move 8 inches in any direction. So she could technically move upwards and go onto a landing that's 7 inches up and then an inch to get onto the landing, and that's not a horrible power. So that's one of the reasons why I like levitation. It's what I would call a medium power, and it's decent because that +3 to move. Think if you can add +3 onto a character for their assault ability. Now she does have decent weapon skill at 3+. She has 2 attacks, but she's only strength 3, tough 3, and she has a fighting knife. So she might be able to go cut down a Juve with her levitation attack, and that's what you should use her to do. Use her to shove people off of buildings. Use her to hunt down those Jews who are trying to flank around and get up and try and double knife stab you or double stub gun shoot you. She can go around and take these guys out. Our next Wyrd power is going to be Mind Control. It is a 9-inch power, and it works by selecting an enemy fighter that is within 9 inches. Now again, no mention of line of sight, and that's very important, which means you might be on the other side of a wall in a zone mortalis. You can reach out and touch somebody with this without needing line of sight of them. That fighter immediately takes a shoot basic action, even if they have already activated this round, targeting an eligible fighter from their own gang, chosen by the player who has this power. This allows you to activate a melt-a-gun, a plasma gun, someone like that, and get them to fire at one of their comrades. Usually those guys are going to be grouped up in clusters of 2 or 3 in a fire team, and they're going to be able to take out, use that champion or leader to shoot out a Juve or a Ganger, and take them out. You want to, if you can take out their Jews and Gangers, you're going to get them to bottle, and you're going to win the scenario by default. You may not even have to get that scenario item. You may not even have to do those scenario things that need to be done during the scenario. If you can get that gang to just bottle and leave you on the board by yourself, then you automatically win. This is used primarily by the Hermophage Magos, which is a 310 credit character. It seems as if he goes with Genestealers, obviously, since he is a Genestealer cult type of character, but he is just an outlaw bounty hunter. So it seems like he can go with anybody that is outlaw, etc. We don't actually use the outlaw rules from the Enforcer book. What is it called? The Book of Judgment. Now, 300 credits is a lot, so you wouldn't see that a whole lot, but every once in a while, when the lowest guy plays the top ranked guy, there could be a 300, 400, 500 credit difference in those gangs, depending on what's happened in the campaign so far. His stats are amazing. So again, he's 310 credits, 5-inch move, 3+ weapon skill, strength 4, initiative 3, 3 attacks, willpower is 5. That's amazing. He has one of the best willpowers of all of the Psykers in the game currently. And, oh yeah, by the way, he has razor sharp talons. And he has Crushing Blow, Fearsome, so it's hard to attack him. And he has Spring Up, which is a very good ability, which allows you, if you're pinned, to potentially make a initiative check and pop up, and not, it's a free action. You can stand up and not lose your regular 2 actions and still do stuff. So he could still charge and kill someone with his horrible razor sharp talons. He has the Force Blast ability, which we talked about earlier. That's that 3-inch push D3 ability, which might be able to shove people off of edges. They have to make an initiative check and potentially fall. But I like Assail a little better between the two, but Force Blast is a good power. He also has Hypnosis, which is 9 inches, needs line of sight, and if they still have not activated, then the only thing they can do is a move simple action when they get activated. So it completely wastes their turn in a lot of instances. And then he, of course, has the Mind Control power that we talked about, which allows you to have someone shoot a friendly miniature near them. Next weird power I want to talk about is one of the worst weird powers, and it seems to be on a lot of the different Hive Scum and Bounty Hunters. It is called Scouring. It is like having the worst flamethrower that you can think of. It is a template weapon, strength 2, question mark. It doesn't, that's it. It's a horrible, it's worse than the hand flamer. I don't love the hand flamer because of the strength 3. Even that's not amazing. The regular flamer at strength 4 is much better. Strength 2 just does nothing. A strength 1, strength 2 weapon is almost useless. Even if you can hit multiple 2-3 characters, the chance of getting a wound with strength 2 is so low, especially if they're toughness 4 or toughness 5. It's ridiculous. Now, unfortunately, the first person who has this is Mortana Shroud. I think this character could be amazing and really cool, and here's how I personally would probably tweak her a little bit. And let's say, go back to that Hermophage Magos, who was 310 credits. Mortana Shroud is 330 credits. She's 20 credits more expensive than the Hermophage that we just talked about, who's scary. She is not. So 330 credits? No. She's got a move of 5. That's really it. She's got willpower 6, so a little bit better than the willpower 7 folks who are Alyce Shivver and Cyrena Scar, but that's it. So now let's talk about, she has a special ability. Let's talk about it. It's called Psychic Chains. Oh yeah, her skill, Escape Artist, almost unusable in most situations. Who wants to try and capture a sanctioned Psyker hired on character? Like they want to capture one of the gangers or leaders or champions of that gang they're going against. You would never use that Escape Artist in 99% of the times, I bet you. She has the Psychic Chains ability, so when she is removed from play, she does a strength 1, you heard me right, strength 1 automatic hit to everyone within D6 inches of her, as if hit with the weapon with the seismic trait. Seismic trait, I don't like the seismic rule. It's not very useful. And strength 1, come on. So you're going to need a 6 in most instances to do any damage to anybody, and it's in D6. Why not turn her into a psychic bomb? She is a disturbed character. You know, she goes out, and when she goes out of action, she explodes. Make that thing strength 5 or strength 6. Why not make them strong? Why not make it when she goes off, when she gets taken out, she is dangerous to where the enemy is worried about taking her down. They almost don't want to see that skull when they roll the injury dice, because they know that she is in the thick of it and she's going to explode and do D6, I guess a D6 range explosion, or and take out 2, 3, 4 of their guys that she ran in and got into close combat with, because she has hammer hand. It's a close combat attack, but she only has weapon skill 4. We paid 330 credits for her. The guy who's 20 credits less has a weapon skill 3 and amazing razor sharp talons. She gets hammerhand. It buffs up your strength. I think it buffs up your damage. It's still not amazing. She has Scouring, the horrible flamer we talked about, and she has Assail. That's probably her only decent power, is that Assail attack. So it's very disappointing. And I plan on probably playing with that and maybe making it a strength 5 automatic hit instead of a strength 1 automatic hit. That's all I got to say about Mortana. I love the miniature, or I guess I want to make a miniature. The new Escher that are coming out, that was the first thing I said whenever I saw those. It looks like Mortana. It looks just like the art that they show for her. Okay, the last 2 Bounty Hunter Hive Scum that I want to talk about is the Ortruum 8/8 and Thaetos 23/2. These guys are mediocre at best. Their prices are 250 and 285 credits. Still not amazing for what they do. The Ortruum 8/8 has the Soul Hound ability. Again, this is just a special rule that he has, that he allows him to pick one enemy that he is going against and light them up so that they can't like run into the dark areas, and also it gives you +1 to shoot at them for the whole game. He has Force Blast though. He doesn't have any good thing. His other abilities are Premonition, which gives you a 4+ save as long as it's kept on. That's something you'd be continuous and have to re-up every turn. And then he has Mind Lock, which is within 18 inches, the fighter cannot be activated this round. So that's also a decent ability to use. And the Mind Lock also is 18 inches, no line of sight needed. So he could technically shut down one enemy character every turn. He has Willpower 5, which is what you would probably want as the base willpower for a regular Psyker. But he's just more of a support Psyker, I guess is the best way to put it. And then for Thaetos 23/2, stat line's pretty basic. He has 2 wounds, but he's 285 credits. He has Fearsome, both those guys do, and he's unsanctioned. He has Scouring. I just talked about how horrible Scouring is. Levitation, not a horrible movement spell, but he is not set up. He has 1 attack. He is not someone you'd want to go hunt people down with. He gets no war gear. He comes with no weapons whatsoever, and he gets Maddening Visions. We didn't talk about Maddening Visions when we talked to Alyce Shivver. Maddening Visions is within 3 inches of the character if someone stops inside that. So most of the time that's going to be because they get charged in combat. If they don't kill you, then you get to use that Maddening Visions ability, and it allows you, or they have to make a willpower check or they become insane. And like the insane rules, they either run away, you get to control them, or they're totally fine on pretty much a D3. Those are the D3 options that you get. Again, Maddening Visions is it's a good thing for if you're getting charged, but most of the time when you're getting charged, it's going to be by something that actually wants to charge you, and it's going to cut you apart. And these guys are not going to be able to survive that. All right, I saved the best for last, and this is going to be the Delaque Brute called the Spyker. Let's talk about their stat line. Movement 6, yes. Toughness 4, yes. Wounds 4, definitely. Initiative 3+, awesome. And willpower 4+. Best willpower of all these Psykers that we've gone over, and there's a reason why. Now, they have a special rule called Flight. This allows them to ignore all terrain, move freely between levels without restriction, and can never fall. So pretty much they have permanent levitation is the way I think of it. Now, it doesn't allow them to move faster or anything like the levitation does, but it's always on. They don't have to continually keep it up, and they have it at all times, and allows them to move in all directions, which I personally do with levitation anyways. Their Wyrd Powers. They have Psychic Scream, which is a 3-inch bubble, and any enemy fighters in that bubble must immediately pass a nerve check, which is a bottle test, and a cool check, and then and also they subtract 1, and if they don't pass it, then they're broken and they start heading out. So good way to protect themselves from charging units. I would almost move up into that area and make them do that check and hopefully break them that way if they didn't have good cool. Next is going to be a Psychic Assault, which is 18 inches. This is probably their best ability, and nominate a fighter anywhere within 18 inches of the Psyker. Doesn't need line of sight, 18-inch range. You could pick that guy who's hiding, behind terrain, reach out and touch them, and they must take a willpower check. If it's not passed, if it is passed, they're pinned. So even with a success, they get pinned. And if it is failed, then they lose 1 wound and they are pinned. If this reduces the fighter to 0 wounds, roll the injury dice and apply the results. You want to get as close as possible with this guy, but also get into cover or somewhere hidden, and then just start reaching out and telepathically wrecking these guys at every 18 inches. So get them near the center of the board and protected, and then just start reaching out and zapping guys with this Psychic Assault ability. Finally is the Force Blast. It was the first power we went over. We've gone over all of those, but that Psychic Assault power is amazing. I love these guys for that. Just rock up with it and start zapping brains. My favorite, oh yeah, by the way, he's only 190 credits. Best Psyker of all of them, and really, there's maybe Sirena Scar and Alyce Shivver are going to be less pricey than them, but that's really it. Everyone else is in the 200 to 300 range and is in nowhere close to the stat line and powers of the Delaque Spyker. So, and probably the one you're going to see the most. So if you're running Delaques, definitely use these guys. It's an amazing purchase. If you're not running Delaques, then you may want to bring a Psyker along just to try to nullify their power. So you want to bring that guy who can contest and stop their power by being within 18 inches. Cult witches that are part of a chaos cult can have some other powers that aren't amazing. Probably the worst one is going to be warp strength. It allows them to, it's a continuous effect, and it allows them to increase their strength by 2 and increase their damages in close combat by 1, but they are not good. They're a weapon skill 5. And then they have the Dark Shield, which does increase their save by 1, and that is not only themselves, but anyone within 3 inches of them that's friendly. So that power is decent. And they could also do Levitation, Scouring, and Maddening Visions, and Assail. Probably Assail being the main power that I would put on them because it is one of the better powers. But of the extra 2 powers that they have, Dark Shield is probably the best of those. Finally, my favorite Genestealer cults have a few powers that are also available to the Adept, and here is what they are. They have Unbreakable Will, which allows anyone within 9 inches to use the willpower of the Adept for cool and willpower checks. That's okay, not amazing. If you were going to use, if you're dealing with someone who might have scare ability or something like that, you might be usable, but the really good one is Zealot. So any other friendly characters within 9 inches of the Adept that make a fight or a charge double action, any dice that roll a 1 to hit may be rerolled. This is perfect for my Aberrants that have dual chain swords and run in, and they have a +1 to hit. They already have a 3+ weapon skill, so now they're hitting on 2s. Only thing they can miss is a 1, and now I get to re-roll it. So that's pretty neat, and that's probably what I would use that for when I use an Adept. I usually don't use the Adept. I use the Alpha in my games, but you know what? After seeing that power, I'm probably going to paint one up and try it out. I'll let you guys know what I think. All right, guys. Thank you. Static out.